Well, despite unemployment at just 4.3%, employers struggle to fill 9.6 million available jobs on the market. That's because there's a mismatch between the skills employers are looking for and the ones prospective employees actually have. Today on Community Connections, we'll hear from 3 organizations that are addressing this issue and preparing youth, those returning to the community, and those looking for better opportunities and careers. We'll begin with a unique partnership between Community College of Baltimore County and Northwest Hospital addressing the critical need for certified nursing assistants. Let's welcome in Sandra Curtinitis, president of CCBC, Rob McGonigal, Chief People Office of Northwest Hospital, and Jonathan Sachs with Baltimore County. Thank you for joining us. So, Jonathan, we'll start with you because I understand you're the money man. So tell me about the creation of this partnership.
Yeah, so I really, the county executive in their budget, she looked at, areas where we have the greatest need. And we've identified as a county some target industries where we want to make investments in the workforce specifically. And we had this opportunity. We have a fund of $1 million. It's called the Strategic Workforce Fund to fund programs like the one we're going to be talking about today. And we have an incredible variety of assets in the county, like Northwest Hospital and CCBC. So to be able to partner with them to help grow the health sector really was a tremendous opportunity for us to use that money to really help folks in our community, in our county.
Right. Sandra, why is this collaboration so important in getting this shortage of healthcare workers?
Well, in truth, this will sound like bragging, but it's not. The Community College of Baltimore County is, in fact, the largest provider of nursing and allied healthcare in the whole darn state. And so we have extraordinary capacity to be able to meet the needs of partners such as Northwest and many, many others. But we are also extraordinarily grateful to the county executive for providing the funds to make this happen. We're the go-to place.
Right.
You want CNA training, you want LPN training, you want ADN training.
Right.
Come to CCBC.
Right. So Rob, silly question, but what is a CNA and why is that so important?
Yeah, CNAs are really important. It stands for Certified Nursing Assistant, and it's a key part of the care team. A lot of the things we've heard over the last couple of years has been about nurses and doctors, and that's all been due because of the incredible impact that they have. But if you ask a nurse what makes or breaks their day, they will tell you it's the certified nursing assistant that they're working with that day. And so they're an important part of the care team. What they do is they offer really important services around activities of daily living, such as bathing and feeding and dressing and taking vital signs, really important things that go on in a hospital every day. When the call bell goes off, the first person that patient will see is often their CNA.
Their CNA, absolutely. So why are they so important at Northwest Hospital specifically?
Yeah, for exactly that reason. We're a community-based hospital. As part of LifeBridge Health, Northwest has been around for a long time. We're an anchor institution in the county, and our CNAs are really a key part of the services that we provide in the hospital every single day.
Dr. Curtinitis, how does CCBC prepare these students to go out into the workforce?
Well, let me start by saying that this relationship that we have is actually extra special because it is the hospital, through the funding from the county, it is the hospital who has turned to us to prepare the CNAs. And what's really lovely about this is that these employees will be they'll be working and being paid by Northwest, but they will also then be doing about 10 weeks of actual on-site instruction at the college. And then added to that will be, I don't know exactly how many hours of actual clinic experience, which they will be getting at Northwest Hospital. So it's a perfect blending of the capacity that the hospital has to increase its capacity and the capacity we have to be able to meet their need.
So can you tell me how you're actually recruiting students and then getting them into that training and then into the work world?
Well, I'm thinking you may be able to answer the that question.
And one thing I want to make sure that I say too is that Northwest and LifeBridge Health have been partners with CCB for a very long time, and so this was such a natural connection. When we initially put in the proposal, we moved really quickly to start recruiting, and it's very much like recruiting for any other position.
Right.
We put a posting out there, requested that people apply. We had more than 700 people apply in that initial call, and so we went through a really detailed interview process, talked to a number of candidates, and ultimately selected 11 that joined the team.
Wow,
and
out of 700.
Out of 700, and so it was really a selective process, but I think it shows you both the interest and the need in the community.
Absolutely. So what makes this program unique from all the other CNA programs?
I think and it started with the very first conversation that Jonathan and I had about the program, and that's that often the barrier in front of people to do these types of programs is the fact that they have to stop what they're doing. They're caring for their families. They've got their families they're caring for, children, spouses, their parents, and step aside from that work, not take a salary, and have to go to training. And that's often the barrier that we see in these types of programs. So we were really committed from day one to say we are going to pay people the minute they start with us in that training. And so for that entire 10-week period, they are paid as employees of Northwest Hospital and LifeBridge Health.
Wow. So they're paid, but how much is tuition?
Well, and tuition we're covered, and Dr. Kirkland can tell us more about the tuition probably, but I believe it's about $1,600 in total, plus some additional testing and book fees, which is also covered through this program.
So it's not a tremendous amount that you're looking at to get people through this.
It really isn't. It's the biggest investment is the time and often the sacrifice people have to make in giving up salaries, again, which is why this is such an important program.
Doctor, how does this program create those long-term careers for people?
Well, we've seen this in other instances also. We've done partnerships like this with St. Joseph's Hospital, and what you find is, and your number of 700 is astonishing, down to 11. We found that in other partnership relationships as well. But once you actually educate and train the CNAs, really, they are ready for not only that level job, but very often they will then move to a next level. Actually, when they get the CNA, they also get the GNA. So there are two credentials that are packaged together, and it's very enlightened, I think, of the employer to recognize that if they work for you and then they have to go to school at night, so many of them will drop out because of family pressures and responsibilities.
Yeah, absolutely. One last question. What does success look like to you when you think of this program?
Well, if I can start, it will be 11 brand new, well-certified, well-trained CNA, GNA. And then, with a little bit of luck, the hospital will realize investing in them eventually to become LPNs would be a next good step.
Absolutely. We'll leave it right there. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. When Community Connections returns, we'll talk to James Bond, no, not the spy, about workforce development programs at Living Classrooms.
The impact of a meal goes well beyond feeding our bodies. Food can open endless possibilities for people to thrive. Because when people are fed, futures are nourished. Everyone deserves to live a full life. And with your help, together we can end hunger. Join the movement at feedingamerica.org/actnow.
We're all just trying to keep things running for those who rely on us. That's why we don't have time to be sick with the flu.
We don't have time for delays.
We don't have time for spills. Next.
We don't have time for setbacks. Let's be real.
Getting the flu shot
Helps you fight the flu.
Get a flu shot for yourself and those around you too.
great way to get ready for that job is, of course, to learn by doing. Since 1985, Living Classrooms has delivered innovative hands-on learning experiences through education and job training to support individuals of all ages. James Bond, President and CEO of Living Classrooms, joins us to discuss their various programs and the impacts they've made on lives, individuals, and communities. How are you, Mr. Bond?
I'm well, Vince. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. First of all, you have a very interesting name. I'm sure you get that quite a bit. But you guys are celebrating 40 years, right?
Yeah, we have an amazing team that's been operating since 1985, and we got a lot going on and a lot more to do, and I was fortunate to be the first full-time employee a long time ago.
So, 1985, what was the vision that started this, and what was the mission?
So there were two teachers, Dennis O'Brien, Tom Schuldeis, who taught out at McDonough, and they had the idea of building a ship for kids, the Lady Maryland. And it would all be experiential, hands-on education, learning by doing, and those guys helped to begin, and I became the first education director, and the whole goal was to help provide thousands of Maryland students hands-on learning of math and science and history. They're the crew on board, they're raising the sails, they're driving the boat, they're navigating the course, they're testing the waters of the bay, learning about the economics of the Port of Baltimore, and that's how we began. And we had students from the Blue Chip Inn program in Baltimore City who helped us build the boat.
Right. So is maritime education still doing well?
Yeah, we're very still engaged with maritime. In fact, if you are in Baltimore City, you see all the large historic ships in the Inner Harbor, the USS Constellation, the submarine Taurus, the light ship Chesapeake, the Coast Guard cutter, the Little Red Lighthouse, the paddle boats, the pirate ships. Those are all Living Classroom operated, and again, working with thousands of students a year, hundreds of thousands of visitors to Baltimore. It's part of the fabric of the Inner Harbor.
Right.
We also have the Frederick Douglass Isaac Myers Maritime Park, which focuses on Black maritime history and honors the first Black-owned shipyard in the country. And that's right at the point of Fells Point site where we saved the oldest industrial building on the Baltimore waterfront. We've got our charter school, Crossroads School, the first charter school in Maryland. We started 24 years ago, a block away on Caroline Street. There's the Bauer Workforce Opportunity Center, focused on workforce training. Right across the street from the Maritime Park, there's the Masonville Environmental Center over on the Middle Branch, Kingman Island over in D.C. We've been in D.C. 25 years. We manage a couple marinas. It all comes back to providing experiential education, learning by doing, job training, workforce development, and then community safety and wellness with our programs like Operation Respond and other things.
You guys are everywhere, and you got your hands in everything, but I understand you also provide training in things like construction and healthcare as well, right?
Yes, sir. And so we found early on that the experiential education is really important, and we work with hundreds of schools and thousands of kids providing those experiences. But if you can work with a teenager, a youth, a young adult, multiple days, multiple weeks, provide workforce development training. So that's been an important part of our mission since the beginning, and really in the late 80s, we leaned into that with our Fresh Start program, which is a model program in partnership with the Maryland Department of Juvenile Services, working with adjudicated teens. We've been running that program 36 years. And then the construction training, mechanics training, landscaping, doing CNA, GNA, all sorts of customized job training as we've been doing for decades, and it's really needed right now.
Yeah.
And finding those jobs that are very much needed right now, and that changes year to year, Vince. And so that's what Living Classrooms has been focused on. And then it's specifically providing those opportunities for those that normally don't get the opportunity or have access or resources. And so coming through our community centers, we're, for instance, reach over 200 people coming home from prison and offering them opportunities.
Absolutely. Do you keep in touch with some of your success stories?
Oh, yeah. In fact, I just had lunch with one on the way here, Lamont Cousins, who is a general manager down at the Ampersea restaurant at the Maritime Park. I graduated Project Serve 13, 14 years ago, worked his way up, starting in the kitchen, and I'll let you know, he's got an amazing story, but he's now done every job in that restaurant, and he's become not only the general manager, but also part owner. And
Wow.
he's raising his daughter. He's bought his house off Northern Parkway, and he's the mentor for the other young men and women that come through our programs or come and work at that spot. And I could tell you many, many stories like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, of course, I always say, as an ex-cop, lack of education leads to more crime, right?
Yes,
so,
sir.
how important is a program like this to the community to lead people away from that life and into an actual productive life?
Vince, that's a great point and a great question, because as Baltimore has seen the downward trend in violence, the downward trend in murders and across the community, it's a holistic approach that the city is having, and there's an ecosystem of programs in addition to the work that the state's attorney and the police commissioner is doing. And it's programs like Living Classrooms and ROCA and LifeBridge, et cetera, who are all working together to come at it from a holistic perspective. So providing people an alternative with workforce development, there's nothing better than giving someone a job as far as to stay off the streets or be positive or a productive member of the community and tax-paying citizen. And so I think it's a really important piece of the puzzle.
Absolutely. 40 years, what do the next 40 years look like for you?
Hey, man, we got a lot to do. And we have an amazing team, amazing board of directors, and incredible staff, people very dedicated to this work. And so we're going to be growing our charter school to a K through 8 from 163 children, Title I school, to 430. We're going to be expanding our workforce training programs, not only solidifying, but expanding them throughout the city. We've got a couple buildings we'll be working on. We're building some endowment and continue to provide the programming that's needed by the community. And that's the last thing I'll mention is it's important to listen. What does the community want? It's not what I want or what the organization. It's we respond to the needs and then put together the plans and implement.
How can people help? Last question. I know you guys are nonprofit. Right?
Yes, sir. So, and we've had some federal cuts and so forth, so now's an important time. And so at livingclassrooms.org, our website, we need all the support we can get, and knowing that your support is going to provide impact and go right to the heart of helping people in our community.
All right, James. We'll leave it right there.
Yes, sir.
Ron, thank you so much. Well, to learn more about Living Classrooms and their programs, visit livingclassrooms.org. After these messages, we'll learn about the work therapy program at the Baltimore station.
I don't remember how it started. Our back and forth. Victory. Fumble. Repeat. It always came back.
Dad! Okay, here we go, throw it! Yeah.
You probably don't remember what you told me.
That was perfect.
But I heard every word.
Nice.
Well, the Baltimore station is a therapeutic residential recovery program for homeless veterans, something near and dear to my heart. Helping vets recover from substance abuse disorder provides a path to re-entering the community with the goal of being self-sufficient. Their work therapy program has residents take on daily responsibilities to keep the station running smoothly and gives recovering veterans the chance to practice discipline, which they know all too well, teamwork, and responsibility. Kim Kalari and Paul Martin joined to discuss the station's programs. How are you?
Good, good. How are you?
I am well. Thank you so much for joining us. Me being an Army vet, of course, this is near and dear to me. So Kim, let's start with you. Why is the station and what you guys are doing so important for vets?
It's so important for a variety of reasons, but the most important is that we bring men into our program from anywhere in the country who are ready to turn their lives around, and they stay with us for up to 2 years at no cost. That's probably one of the biggest things that we offer. So if the men want to go back to school, they want to get training, they need to find a job, whatever they need, we provide to them at no cost. And our program also gives them the beauty of time.
Right.
So you could stay with us for up to 2 years, and again, while the men are with us, they're getting the tools and the resources they need to graduate with permanent housing, sustainable income, and the tools they need to lead a sober life.
Got it. Now, Paul, I won't hold this against you. You were Navy. Go Army. But outside of that, let's talk about the work therapy program. What exactly is it? What can a vet expect when they come there?
Well, I can say to you that the Baltimore station adopted the work therapy program many years ago. And one of the things that we learned is that an individual can't think his way into better behavior, but he can behave his way into better thinking. So by having him do menial tasks and work therapy or work conditioning tasks in the station, it will help them build self-esteem. It would help with their work hardening or muscle movement and prepare them to access those community workforce development programs where the expectation is that they will move on to more permanent employment. And so the Baltimore station begins that process early on for those who can be employed. There are some veterans, as you may know, that can't be employed. However, I still use the work therapy program to help them to understand those things that they can do and to help them understand those tasks that they can perform as they transition into their permanent housing placements.
Right. So Kim, you and I were talking before we started. You know, we see people on the streets that say, I'm a vet. And then when we challenge them on that, like, oh, I'm not really a vet.
Right.
So when someone shows up, like, how does that look? What do you guys look for to prove that this person's a veteran and someone's not just coming in to get free room and board?
So most of our referrals will come in from the Veterans Administration and other service providers, hospitals. So many times they have done the work ahead of time and asked all those questions. But our outreach coordinator, who's actually a graduate of our program, when he's out on the street or in encampments or a resource fair, he'll ask, you know, do you have your DD-214? Right. What branch did you serve in? So a couple of different questions that he can tell right away if they are a veteran or if they are not a veteran.
Because a vet's going to know exactly what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Like, what would your MOS?
Right.
And if someone says,
right, like deer in the headlights, kind of like, nah. So, and we have a, pretty tough screening process. But the beauty of our program is if you are a qualified veteran, we can get you right in.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I know you said the program is 2 years, but can someone stay past that 2 years, or is that the cap?
They can stay beyond 2 years. Just our fund. So we are primarily funded through the Veterans Administration. So at that 2-year point, that funding runs out. But 40% of our revenue comes from the community. So when somebody, and we have had a few men who stay beyond that 2-year mark, private funding will help them continue the program.
Right. Paul, how have you seen veterans' lives change based on this program?
Well, remember, we're not only just a veteran program, but we're a client-centered program. And so what we believe that most of the veterans come into our program to do is to get a better quality of life, to become better managers over their life, and become productive member of the community. So success is defined by the client and not necessarily us. So I've seen them change by them reaching their goals and not necessarily reaching our goals.
Right.
And so that's how I have seen the change.
Yeah. So Kim, with that, let's talk success, right? Has there been someone that's gone out, had a great career, like made the transition? You mentioned your senior coordinator was once in the program.
Yep.
So were there any other success stories like that?
So we've had a couple of men graduate recently who immediately popped into my head when you asked me that question. We have one in particular who went through a program with the Baltimore Orioles and with their catering company. And he worked for the Orioles for a little bit, and now he's actually fully employed with M&T Bank Stadium.
Wow.
And working all the Ravens games and different events at M&T. And I stay in touch with him because he's moved on.
Right.
He's now a supervisor,
That is awesome.
is managing a team, and just it's wonderful for us as staff because you see these men when they come into the station, how they are, and then you get to see, you know, the progress and then the end result, which is pretty amazing.
Right. Paul, for folks watching, how can they support you guys?
Well, I like to say that you're supporting us now by getting the word out. One of the things that we are, a lot of times, for many years, we've been based on attraction rather than promotion. But now that the landscape is changing, we need to put the word out to everybody who is in, you know, our community that we're there for veterans. Our population is getting older, and so we count on those community members to let us know any veteran in need. There's no veteran that we can't help, even if they have some challenges that they may think that they can't overcome. I believe that we can help them by just meeting them.
Yeah. So Kim, last question. For vets that are out there that may not know about this, or family members of vets that may not know about this, right? Because it's such an important issue. How can they learn more?
So best is to go to our website, baltimorestation.org, and there actually is a page where if it is a veteran or a family member or a friend, there is actually a brief form that they can fill out, and that comes to myself and our outreach coordinator. And like I said, we can usually get somebody in if they're qualified within 24 hours, because what we found is when a veteran is asking for help, you need to jump. I mean, really anybody, but you need to jump on that as quickly as possible.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, Kim, Paul, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
All right.
Thank you.
And thank you to all our guests today. To learn more about the Baltimore Station, visit baltimorestation.org. Thank you for joining us and making community connections to help train our future workforce.